I left active duty around 2000, 2001, became a contractor. It's the best job opportunity that came my way. And then I realized, like, wow, this is not a growth industry per se when you're billable, because you can only get paid as much as your company priced your labor category. So I realized that I was in a dead-end career. And then I started, figuring out how in the world am I going to actually have a career in this industry. And long story short, I realized that I needed to get into the business side and then ultimately start my own company. I did a ton of research in this, and I realized that the two easiest ways for me to create wealth was either in the real estate industry, which I pursued, and also as an entrepreneur on the federal government contracting side. And the reason and the way I came to that conclusion with respect to launching a federal government contracting company is, one, I felt like I had a distinct advantage over my civilian counterparts who wanted to launch a company in this arena because I understood the culture. I understood the mission, at least what I did in the military. I knew to stand up when a flag officer walked into a room, and you'd be surprised by how many civilian executives have no clue about that. So you have such a tremendous advantage there. The second thing is that this federal government contracting industry is completely different than almost any others. And the reason why it's different is because in most industries, for example, my son is attending Berkeley and in the Silicon Valley. He told me, he says, these guys are guessing at what the market's going to buy. They're guessing at what the customer wants, and customers lie all the time. The things that customers want and the things that customers need completely different than what they're willing to pay for, because customers lie. You can't trust a customer, right? That's a horrible thing to say, but you can't do that. But in the federal government contracting industry, your customer, the federal government, the world's largest customer, there is no close second. They spend trillions of dollars. They tell you exactly what they're going to buy, when they're going to buy it, and to what specifications. So you're not guessing about what the market wants. You're writing a proposal that addresses their request for proposal. Basically, they're telling you where to pin the tail on their donkey's rear end. It's truly playing to pin the tail of the donkey. So there is no ambiguity about what they're willing to buy because they're contractually and legally mandated to buy what's in the budget that's been passed by Congress. So there's no ambiguity there. So one, that's the biggest hurdle that most entrepreneurs face, and you overcome that in the federal government. Now here's the other thing that I like about the federal government contracting industry is only 5% of U.S. governments only 5% of U.S. companies pursue working with the federal government. And the reason why is because it's a pain in the ass bidding on a proposal. We all know that. And I'm not going to sugarcoat that. It is a pain in the butt. But you eliminate 95% of your competitors by learning that process. 95% by doing something, learning something that they're just not willing to learn. So if you learn that, then you eliminate 95% of your competition. And then the final thing that I like about the federal government contracting industry is that you get to keep your day job. Your startup costs are nothing. For example, I won my first prime contract. It was a $15 million prime contract. I wrote it from my kitchen table. It cost me, get this, $50. Paper, ink, binders, Boom. That's it, $50. And I won a $15 million prime contract. Now, the real cost of that was my effort, in staying up after the kids went to bed, writing a proposal, trying to put together a good team, finding key personnel that I could bid, as key personnel on the proposal. So that's how I really created the asset, that ultimately would appreciate it was through sweat equity. So I didn't have to go out there and buy anything. I didn't buy a franchise license. I didn't have to do any of those things. I just had to learn the process and commit to doing it. And then it becomes a numbers game. There were 6 other bidders on that first prime contract. 6. I had a 1 in 7 chance of becoming a multimillionaire on that contract alone.